relaxing yourself down and seeing how you feel. You actually just thought you might not be able to see my legs, so I might end up having to just roll this mat part of the way. So yeah, we started on the ground. So just lay yourself down, close your eyes and check in. So there is a theme to today's lesson, and there is a theme, and it's about the hips basically. Everybody's little, I like to come back from time to time to look at the body, as opposed to looking at the history and all that kind of stuff. As you're laying on the floor, just closing your eyes and getting a really good sense of how you would sense the hips, how you would visualize the hips. What does the hips mean to you? When you think about the hips, do you think about when you rest your hands on top of the pelvis and call that your hips? Or are you thinking about where your thigh bones meet your sockets? Would you call that your hips? Would you say that the back of your hips is your hips? You know, what are you thinking about when you're thinking about the hips? It could mean lots of things for many people. So let's take our awareness into what we would see as being our hips. So I just want you to sense your sacrum to start with. It's that little bone that sits between the crest at the back of the hips, and just sense and feel the sacrum. And as you sense and feel the sacrum, take your awareness down to your tailbone at the base of the hips. And then radiating your awareness out from the sacrum to the crest at the back of your hips. So here you've got your SI joint. And keep that tenderness there, and I can say the SI joint's a little bit loose or painful. And then moving around to the edges of the hips, around to the crest of the hips. And then if you could just picture the very front of your pelvis, and then the pubic bone, just a little bit lower down. And if you can just tilt your pelvis forwards and then press your lower back into the floor and feel your pelvis rocking backwards and forwards. And then the crest at the very front of your pelvis, like just align that up with your pubic bone. So just think about your pelvis then becoming kind of flattened. And that should create then a little lumbar curve. And then if you take your awareness around to where you sense your thigh bones meeting your pelvis, where would you say that they come into the pelvis? Towards the front, towards the side? And picture that beautiful ball of your hip joint nestling inside the joint. And just know that any movements we do, we're going to be giving some beautiful kind of moisturisation to that hip joint. And a lot of us get backache and so on because it's a junction, this whole thing. You know, your legs connect to your pelvis, your spine connects to your pelvis. You've got all these muscles that crisscross. So when you're next ready and able, just begin to wiggle your toes, maybe give them a scrunch. And do the same with your fingers. Give your fingers a wiggle, give them a scrunch, get to warm up these joints that we're going to be using. And then we can begin then to maybe circle the hands and circle the feet. And in particular, as you turn your feet, you might feel that up in your hips, up into those joints as we use those muscles. Get a good sense of connection that as you move something, there's a response elsewhere. So sense and feel how that movement of the feet connects into your hips. Now let's relax the hands, relax the feet, and begin our movement practice. I'm just going to move this mat slightly out so you can see. So we're going to take both knees into the belly, and then extend your feet to the ceiling, and then bring your feet back in towards your bottom. So obviously we're moving then into our knees, the hamstrings, the calves, the shins. And then let's drop these feet down just in front of us onto the floor. And then bring your left knee into the belly and circle it out to the side. Bring it back in again. Just doing 10 of these. And again, just picturing that beautiful little hip joint of yours, feeling that ball, feeling the thigh bone, feeling the hip socket, and how they all connect. And then start to draw a figure of 8 with the knee. So turn the knee out, turn the knee in. So it's like you're drawing a little bow in the air. I tried standing the 8 up and it doesn't really work. So I'd have it on its side. And then placing the foot back into the floor. I want you to lean and press your tailbone forward. So we're bringing that pubic bone and those crests nicely aligned. Just checking we've got that little lumbar curve, and then from here we're going to extend the left foot up towards the ceiling and then lower it towards the floor. So just let that heel just kind of touch, just like, we will not even touch the floor, and then raise the leg again. And again, lower the heel towards the floor. So you keep that leg nice and straight. And you're going to notice that your tummy is doing something. The core switched on. We're keeping that beautiful bridge of the lower back intact. Raising the left foot, placing the foot over onto the right knee. Bring the right knee in towards the body for a little hug, so just moving into reclining pigeon to start. So again, just let your lower back round. We're just staying here for 15 breaths. So just take your time and breathe. So from this place, dropping your right foot into the floor, cross fully your left leg over your right, and then take your left hand towards the floor behind you. And then we're going to sway the knees across to the left to start with, and then across to the right. So let your pelvis roll. So just taking the knees from the left and to the right. And then whenever you're ready, start to let your knees settle to the right and let your gaze move towards your left armpit. Again, just if it feels good, you can place your right hand on the top left thigh. And then bring your knees back to centre, untangle the legs and stretch your hands down by your side. And then moving into the right knee. Circle the knee out to the side, bring it back in towards your belly. So you feel the different muscle groups at any given time really with this one. So drop the knee out, there's actually a slight clenching of these the abductors on the outer edge of the leg. And it kind of really happens with gravity, a sense of letting go, and it's the abductors bringing that leg back in. So mobility is really important. I think in some lessons people talk about releasing hips, stretching hips, but you've got to have the muscles to move the hips as well. And then we can take that knee out to the side, bring it back in, drawing a bit of a figure of 8. So let that thigh bone rotate in, feel the thigh bone rotate out. And also you're going to feel your hip kind of squeezing slightly up towards your armpit and lengthening again at that pelvis. So just let your pelvis swing a little bit as you do that. It's quite nice just to let that be involved. And then bring in the, that's my son, extending the right leg up to the ceiling. He's banging on the window, that's nice of him. And then lowering the heel towards the floor. So just think about your pelvis and your hip bone being level, raising the leg, and again sinking the heel towards the floor. Raising the leg, and again sinking the heel towards the floor. So let it hover, keep the legs nice and straight. And then with the next move, what we're going to do is again to bring that right ankle over onto the left knee. So let the knee tip out to the side. And then bring your leg in for a hug. So placing your hands on the back of the left thigh, moving into pigeon. And again, just take your time to breathe. You're staying here for 15 breaths. So this is just to be seen as a beautiful release. So just let your back soften into the floor. You maybe even want to hug the leg, release the leg, sway the leg, maybe even roll around on your sacrum a little bit if that feels comfortable. So placing your left foot back down into the floor, crossing your right leg completely over your left leg, so thighs are touching, and then dropping the right hand towards the floor behind us. Again, just tipping your knees from right and then to left, and then from right and then to left, and just feeling how the pelvis rolls from side to side, passing across that left footprint. And then whenever you're ready, let those knees tip to the left and just bring your gaze towards your right armpit. Maybe close your eyes Just feel the heaviness of the knees. Sometimes with things like this, we end up like clenching those inner thighs. So see if you can consciously let go of the sensations in the inner thighs. See the beauty of this pose all the way down to that right thigh to the right knee. So move yourself to seated, to centre. Bring your knees into your belly. Dropping your hands towards the floor behind you. See if you can lift your feet and roll to seated. And then let yourself roll back down. Push your feet forwards, roll into seated. Dropping yourself back down. Moving to seated. So use this as a really nice way of massaging the spine. Okay. So take yourself to seated, and then we're going to move directly onto all fours. I might bring that mat back a little bit. I just realised wearing blue trousers on a blue mat ain't that clever. So placing yourself on all fours. Just let your belly sag, let your heart sag, and look forwards. And then I just want you to picture that in front of you, you've got something that's going to run down the wall, down the floor, and it's going to go all the way behind you, looking all the way back as far as you can. Notice how your pelvis tilts, your spine rounds. And then imagine that little item, whatever it is going to run through your legs, across the mat, and back up the wall in front of you. Imagine going all the way up to the ceiling. And again, it's going to run back down the wall, along the floor, and as far as it can away from you, behind you. And just noticing as you are coming into your cat-cow, following whatever these little fingers that you're visualising, what your pelvis is doing in order for you to see. It's flexing as you're looking down, and it is tilting to look up. So you kind of want it to be involved in this movement, so let it be involved in this movement. Excuse me. So let's begin to bring a little bit more dynamicism into this movement. I'd like you to think about bringing your right knee into the belly as you look down. And then taking the right knee out behind you. See if you can take the knee a little bit higher than the hip as you look up. And again, bringing the knee into the belly, so you're rounding that spine, hugging the navel in. And as you exhale and look forwards and extend, you're lifting that foot up and back. And just play with that sensation. Maybe play with having the toes pointed, maybe have the toes of the foot flexed. Play with that sensation. What feels nicer to do? And then as you take that foot out behind you next time, you're going to keep it there. So just looking just like neutrally forwards, flex the foot, and then push the foot to the ceiling, and then relax and push it up to the ceiling and relax. So just kind of imagine you've got a ball on the foot. Speed it up if that is comfortable. And then raise it up, and then bring it back into the belly, rounding, and again extend it up and back, pumping again. Bringing the knee in. And then we're going to take that foot up and back and keeping it there. So you should have your right foot up behind you. How would it feel to just bring some weight into your right hand and take the left hand off the floor and reach it forwards? And then to bring that hand around, maybe to touch your right big toe, so you can grasp that toe. And push the foot away into the hand. Great. Bringing the foot back down. Soften down into child for a second. Just let go of all that sensation in the back. Give your wrist a bit of a roll. And then push your shins into the floor to round back up to all fours. And then exhale, drop the belly, look forwards. And as you inhale, take the left knee in towards the belly. Point to the toe, bring the knee up and back. And again, you're rounding the spine, so extending as you lift the foot. Inhaling, bringing the knee in, rounding and flexing. Inhale, taking the foot up and back. Inhale. Exhale. So as we take that foot up again, we can flex the foot again. Imagine we've got a little ball bouncing on the foot. So just slowly to start with, push the heel up and notice you tensing that glute. And then relax. And again, we can begin to speed up that movement. So imagine you're bouncing a ball on the sole of your left foot. And then inhale, bring that knee back into the belly. Exhale, take the foot back again and flex and bounce. Inhale, bringing the knee in. So the reason I want to have this in the class is that it strengthens the hamstrings. We forget about hamstrings. We think we need to stretch all the time, but sometimes the reason they're tight is that they aren't actually getting strengthened. So then let's take that foot up and back. And then how does it feel to bring that weight into your left hand and raise the right arm? So we can always keep that hand there. And we can bring it back, clasp the toe, and then push the toe, push the foot away, opening the heart, spreading the fingers of the left hand. Keep the energy in that push. So you don't want to feel that you're collapsing into that back. Placing your hands down into the floor, let's take our bottom down to heels and bring yourself to seated. So let's look forwards. So from here we're going to move towards our camel pose. So we're going to start to bring those hips forwards, coming up. Feel as you bring your pelvis to neutral, and if you just tilt your pelvis actually backwards, we can start to feel our belly begin to lengthen. We can let those arms dangle back and lift the gaze. Sweeping your hands up and back, bringing your hands to the heart, take your bottom down towards your heels. Slide your hands down onto the thighs and come all the way forwards into child. Keep your toes tucked under. And then we're going to come up into our camel again, but from this pose I want you just to think about dropping your tailbone towards your heels. Feel as you do that, your hands are sliding into your thighs. Keep pulling your pelvis forwards. Feel it growing up from the floor. Spine begins to lengthen up and back, sweeping the hands back if that feels good. Hands come to heart, taking sit bone down to heels. Hands move to thighs and slide forwards and down. From the tailbone, tuck it under, feel yourself rising up into your camel pose. Hands to heart, take a seat. Hands sliding forward. I'm just playing with this movement. Again, 5 more times. into your camel pose. How would it feel to bring your hands onto your buttocks? That sounds very odd. And then bring the palms together. So you've got your thumbs touching, middle fingers touching, palms touching. And then how would it feel to bring those fingers to point towards your sacrum, and then so you can turn them up towards your shoulders, bringing those palms together. So going into our camel with reverse namaste. Let's take a seat and slide our hands forward, untuck the toes and rest down in child. Take a really, really good rest. So let's come up into again our little kneeling position. I'm going to face the camera for this one. Excuse me. Excuse me. So have your hands on your hips to start with. We might do something a bit more yogic with the hands in a second. And tuck your toes under behind you. So we're gonna start to come up onto our knees. So let's bring our right knee out. So knees and toes pointed outwards. We're going to move into goddess pose from this position. So we need to start to push down with your right foot and step your left knee under. And then drop your right knee down. And then drop your left knee down. Lead with your left foot, turn the knee out, toes out, press into the foot, move it into goddess. Drop your left knee down, drop your right knee down. Start with your right. Move to goddess. I forgot which leg I started with. Drop your left knee down, drop your right knee down. Start with your left. Why can I not work out what's left and right? Do you know what? Calm down whichever way, as long as you mix it up the next way. I'm getting completely lost with my legs today. And then the next time you move into your goddess pose, we're going to stay there. So keep the toes pointing out, pelvis in neutral. Bring your hands to heart. And spread your toes. Lift your toes, spread your toes. Placing your right hand on your thigh. Take your left arm out, palm spread. Raising your left hand to the ceiling. And then bringing it over to the right. We're just going to bend that right elbow a little bit more. Keeping your belly and your heart facing outwards. Moving back to center. Exhaling back into goddess. Placing your left hand on your thigh. Taking your right hand out, gazing at the film. So you want to have the hand and the heart aligned. Raising your right hand and bending your left elbow, moving across. So keeping your belly and your heart facing forwards. Moving back. And turn the feet forward. Let's have a little bit of a, for want of a better word, a stretch. So walking your hands down your thighs towards your toes. Bringing fingertips to the floor if that is comfortable. Lift and spread your toes And again, from those little toes to big toes, think about those beautiful footprints. And let everything go. Maybe you can bring the palms of hands to the floor. Maybe you can bring those fingertips in line with your toes. And just let your head dangle at this point. And if you have got those fingertips in line with toes, look at your elbows. They might be kind of pointing out towards your shins. So I want you to squeeze the elbows towards each other. And then from this place, without actually physically moving the hands, try to push your hands forward. That is going to bring you closer to your hamstring, close to that space between the legs, and just let your head dangle between your shoulders. So keep those hands pushing forwards. And obviously, if that feels like it's an effort on that lower back, you can always soften it off a little bit. Maybe even fold the arms and dangle. Walk your hands forwards from where you are. And we're going to move towards almost like a standing version, or kind of wide leg version of the dog. So you've got your hands on the floor, walk them out as far as you can, keep your weight in your feet. And then have a look where your feet are. So I want you to widen your hands as your feet. So you've got a lovely wide stance, keeping the weight in your feet. So you shouldn't have dropped your weight into your hands. So you shouldn't feel that you're on all fours. If you can feel that you're on all fours, push your hands forward, feel your hips guiding back. Just let your chest soften to that space between the shoulders. So let's take those hands onto shins, walking yourself back to standing. I need about as much as you, I think. I did a run yesterday, and in those goddesses, my thighs were going, what are you doing? So there you go, you've got an extra stretch today. So we're going to move into a little sequence next. So we're going to move into a whole chair sequence. So starting, I'd say towards the front of your mat, I've got a circular mat, but you can't really tell. Looks like a crescent moon on your camera, I think. Look at your feet, so you've got your toes pointing forwards, and we're just going to lift and spread the toes to start with, dropping down little toe first, big toe last, and then lightly squeeze your heels. Keep that squeeze of the heels, bring your hands to heart. Just stay with your breath for a few moments. And now what I want you to do now is, as you're breathing, picture your knees and just allow them to be the only thing that move. So you're going to let those knees begin to bend. And as you can visualize the centre of your knee, just see if you can make it just kind of go in that direction of your middle toe. So you shouldn't feel those knees pulling towards each other. So you've got your pelvis upright, spine nice and tall. Bringing your hands up towards the sky. Spread your fingers, widen the shoulders. And then tip your pelvis forward so you can feel your sit bones moving back. Imagine taking a seat. Look down to your knees. Knees should be behind the toes. Bend your knees a little bit more. Come all the way down to the floor. See how you feel about coming into crouch. And then from here, we're going to come into fold. So keep your belly on your side. And then tuck your tailbone under and rise back up to standing, bringing those hands towards the sky. Squeeze the heels coming back through chair. Keep the heels squeezing, reaching sit bones back. Bending the knees, coming all the way down into fold. Tucking the tailbone, rounding the spine, moving back to standing. Squeezing the heels, coming down through chair. Keep coming down through crouch, just slowly, slowly using both legs, and again tipping forwards into fold. Tucking the tailbone, rising back to standing, raising the arms. Squeezing the heels, coming down through chair. Hips push back. Bend the knees, use those legs. Coming down through fold and back up again. And then taking yourself through chair. We're going to hold this chair this time. So again, bend the knees, keep the heels squeezing. Hips tilting back, keep that tummy pulled in. So stepping your left foot back, keep your right foot at the front of the mat. So we're just going to have the ball of the foot on the floor, heel lifted, moving directly into our warrior one. Begin to bend the left knee towards the floor. So again, using those glutes to keep ourselves nice and strong. So pelvis upright, spine stacked. And then lower yourself down. Bring the hands towards the floor. Drop the left knee down. So you've got your left hand on the floor, your right foot should be in front of you. I want you just to place your right hand on your right thigh and begin to turn your chest towards the right. So pressing down on your left hand, shoulders stacked, looking up over your right shoulder, raising your right arm towards the sky. And we can raise the left knee and push back. So a little look to your right knee, over the ankle, toes are spread. So try to hug that knee in towards the belly. Lowering your left knee down, step your right foot back, moving into the side plank. So you've got that side of the foot on the floor, hips level, shoulders level, and if you feel comfortable, take your left foot to the back of the mat as well. Feeling comfortable, bring your right foot to rest on your left calf. And then let's turn back, moving your hips up and back into downward facing dog. So let's come back to our theme of hips. In your dog, spreading your palms, just visualize your tailbone, and I want you to tuck it down towards your heels and feel how your spine rounds and how that moves into the shoulders and neck. And then lift your sit bones up and back towards the ceiling and feel how your spine lengthens back out. So you're tucking the tailbone down, feeling the spine round, and then lifting your sit bones up and back. So you get that beautiful wave of motion through the spine. But the reason I've got this in here is that actually we can sometimes do either this or the opposite and really go into the joints. So I want you just to get a sense of where feels neutral, where doesn't feel too pushy. It might be you've got to bend the knees to find that place. So have a little explore, bending knees, wiggling hips. Just allow yourself to kind of begin to rest into what feels like a healthy dog. So let's walk our feet back towards the hands. And let your belly drop onto your thighs, let go. Tuck your tailbone under and move up to standing. Raising your hands. Exhale, hands at heart. And then we're going to move again through chest. So raising the arms, bending the knees, just. Holding the chair for 5 breaths. So again, we can tilt the pelvis. And then step in the right foot back this time. So again, land on the ball of the right foot. Keep that left knee hovering over the ankle, straighten the spine. So you want to feel first the pelvis is upright, ribs over hips. And again, taking that right knee towards the floor if that feels comfortable. So again, what we're trying to do here again is keep the pelvis nice and upright. So taking that Straightens the leg away, gives more use again to this left hip, strengthening it as we go. Now straighten the leg, bring your hands to the floor. And then lower your right knee down. I just need to spin around because my plank is going to be backwards if not. So you should have your left knee in front of you, your right hand on the floor. And then placing your left hand on your thigh, turn your chest, look up, looking over your left shoulder. And taking the left arm up. So you want to kind of feel the arm, the wrist is an extension of the collarbone. So it's not about reaching back, reach up, spread the palm, press into that right hand, feeling that sense of openness across the chest. If it's comfortable, raise your right knee. Feeling that left footprint in the floor, knee hugging in towards the chest. Got that sense of integrity in the hips, not collapsing. And then lower your left knee, stepping your right knee and open back. Take that left foot to the back of the mat again, moving into our side plank. And again, we have that option of straightening both legs. And an option of bringing the left foot to the right shin. And turning back again to downward facing dog. So again, find the balls of the feet, pushing the hands forward. And again, play with your pelvis. Tilt it and lift it. Again, just feel the effect of the pelvis and its position. What happens to the shoulders? What happens to the neck? And then find that sense of neutral where you can feel that the front of the body is as long as the back of the body. If you noticed when you did one of those, there was a tightening of the back and a shortening of the front. So what feels like neutral? Keep the palms spreading. Again, maybe bend the knees a few times and straighten the legs a few times. And then let's look towards the hands and walk forwards again into fold. So let's tuck tailbones and move back to standing. I'm looking at my notes thinking I've missed something out, so there you go. Let's take it to where I want to go then. So I want to move just through a little vinyasa to get to our next little point. So looking down at your toes, roll your arms forwards, tilt your pelvis forwards, so you've got that lengthening and rounding of the lower back. And then let's start to bring ourselves to standing. So tuck your tailbone under, tuck your tailbone forwards, feel your spine lengthening, let your heart lift, look to the sky, bringing those hands up and back. And then pull your tailbone back over your heels, bring your hands to heart and roll down towards the floor, bringing those fingertips towards the toes if that is comfortable. Fingertips to shins or keep the fingertips on the floor as you look forwards and straighten the arms coming into our half fold. And then exhale, moving down into full fold. So just keep the backs of the knees soft. And then let's take our left foot back, lower the left knee. Step the right foot back, moving into full plank. Spread the fingers, push back with heels. Lower the knees. Bend the elbows and take yourself carefully down onto your tummy. Press into your hands and rise back up, turn the toes over, moving back into downward facing dog. And then we're going to step the right foot between the hands. Turn your left heel in. So you've got your right knee bent. Push with your right foot to move to standing. So we're going to move directly into warrior two stance. So we've got the left foot turned out, right foot turned forwards, pelvis facing that side of the mat. So have a look at your front heel, roughly lined up with your left inner arch. Bring your arms out. Bend your right knee, moving into warrior two. So you're just going to have a look at your knee. So again, always remember that inner edge of the knee, big toe visible, spine central. Walk your feet a little further away if you can, bend the knee a little bit more. And then lift the toes of your left foot, spread out for the little toe and ground the big toe. Placing your right hand on your right thigh, left hand behind the back, looking to your left shoulder. So again, keeping everything stacked up, ribs stacked over hips, and then move the back of your right hand towards your right knee and bring the elbow to the knee. So palm is up, look into your left shoulder. Check again that we're not pushing the ribs forwards or pushing the bottom back. So imagine you're just doing this against a wall behind you, so you've got to get the hips and the shoulders as well lined up as you can. Take your left hand, reach for the sky, and then reach it all the way forwards, palm spread. So again, really deep release for the right inner thigh. Very creative way of getting a deep release for that right inner thigh, I've got to say. Bringing the hand down to the floor. Pivot your hips as well, bring the fingertips to the floor. So keep your left knee lifted, keep your right knee bent, and then lower your left knee. So keep that knee, if you can, behind your hips. We're moving into a deep lunge at this point. So you've got that left knee behind your left hip. And look down towards your right big toe. We're just going to stay here for 10 breaths. So what you might find is it might be a handy thing, particularly with your arms, if you've got really long shins, to have those hands on the inside edge of the shin. So just so you don't feel that you're grasping for the floor. So you want to feel that you're resting down for the bones of the arms into the hands. And that right foot is supporting the right knee and that right hip in some way. But we're feeling that we've got a lovely sense of extension with this left hip. So again, you're listening to that lower back. You don't want to feel that you're crunching into your sacrum. So you can always walk that knee forward a little bit. So I would say less is more in some of these movements. Just let gravity do its work rather than forcing. So from this place, placing your hands properly down, and take your right foot back, moving back into downward facing dog, so push the hands forwards, lifting the hips, and then bring the shoulders forwards into plank. So we can come down, dropping knees, chest, chin, or we can bend the elbows and hover down. Plant the toes first and then move forwards into cobra. So sometimes we do chaturanga. If you keep it in your hands and you push forward, you're very likely to do something horrible to your wrist. So plant yourself first and then move into cobra. So keep the toes pointing, pressing, looking forward, and then we're going to push into those hands and move again back into down facing dog. Look into the feet first and then take that left foot, place it between the hands, and then turn your right heel in. Bend your left knee, push, and arrive back again towards our warrior two position. So when we arrive at warrior two, pelvis is turned out, look towards your left foot, knee pointing towards the center of the foot, right foot pointing out, and again, heel to that inner arch alignment. Lifting and spreading the toes of the right foot, arms are spread, spine in the center. That left heel, try to squeeze it slightly towards, again, the mat in front of you again, but feeling that work going into that glute again. So you want to feel that glute is actively working. And again, you might be able to walk the feet a little bit further apart, and again, bend the knee a little bit more, keeping the knee over ankle. Awareness to what that back foot is doing, again, feeling the sole of the foot. Take your right hand behind you, dropping your left hand onto your thigh. Sliding the hand towards the knee, bring the elbow to knee, palm turns up. So again, when you're doing this, you know your chest return towards the floor again. Imagine you're using the wall. So you've got your shoulders, your rib cage, hips stacked. And have a little feel again in your lower back. So does your lower back feel that you've still got a little bit of a lumbar curve? And then begin to raise your hand, reach for the sky first, pushing into the left elbow, and then sweeping the hand towards the space in front of you. Keep the palms spread, fingers energized. Awareness again to your back foot, lift the toes, spread the toes, place. Again, that little bit more effort in the right heel. And have a little look to your left knee, where is it? As it moves backwards a little bit. Turn your chest towards the floor. Pivot on your hips, lower your right knee. And again, as you look down onto the floor, so where is your right knee? Is it behind your hip? Again, find a good place for your hands, maybe on the inside edge of the foot, on the floor, or either side of the foot. Again, staying here for 10 breaths. So let's begin to come down into some more restful positions. From this place, step your feet forwards and move onto your back. I need to again do something with this mat so it's more visible. Or you can just tilt the camera maybe. So we're going to just move into a few little bridges. So, so allow yourself first just to rest into the floor, feel your pelvis, feel your feet. And then we're going to firstly lift up your toes. So keep the soles of feet on the floor, lift your toes and then spread them down. Again, lift your toes and then spread them into the floor. And again, lift your toes. And as you're doing that, feeling what's going on in your calf, in your shins and so on. And then just let your toes relax into the floor. But what we're going to do now is keep the feet still and try to pull them towards your bottom. This is going to tilt your pelvis. You're going to feel a little gap appearing behind your back. And then, without moving your feet, push them forwards and feel your lower back move into the floor. So again, pulling those heels towards the bottom, tilt the pelvis and raise into the lower back. And without moving the feet, pushing them forwards and down, again, will lower the back. And this is just an arch and flatten. It's a real nice way of loosening tension in the lower back and also the front of the spine. From this place, just start to push your feet forwards, and the more you push them forwards, you might feel your pelvis begin to pick up, and allow it to pick up, moving into our bridge pose. We're just going to keep those feet pointing forwards, keep them pushing forwards. Have a sense of your knees, what they're doing, they're splaying outwards. Think about your knees kind of being lined up with the pelvis and the hip sockets and those toes. And whenever you're ready, begin to come back down onto the floor. And pull the heels into the bottom, rolling into sit bones, again into the tailbone. And again, whenever you're ready, push forwards and rise up into your bridge pose. So just keep that energy from the feet. So you can use the hips to come up, but I want you to think about these legs and these hips staying beautifully strong to rise you up. And it might be nice every now and again just to kind of interplay between arching and flattening and doing the bridge. You don't have to come into bridge every single time. But if you are going to go into this bridge, we can roll the shoulders under the body, keeping the energy in the feet. And with your right foot, start to push a little bit more and just let your left toe Your left heel begin to lift, so just keep the left big toe on the floor. Keep that right foot pushing forwards into the floor. Can we lift the left foot off the floor? Can we point the toe to the ceiling? Can we cross the left ankle over onto the right thigh? So again, keep pushing the right foot into the floor. Take yourself down onto your back and then bring your right knee in towards you, going back to our reclining pigeon. Untangle the legs, placing both feet into the floor. We're just going to do that same thing again, but obviously using that left leg a little bit more. So again, interplay between pulling the heels in and sinking the lower back and moving into your bridge again. It might be going to keep that bridge static. So if you are in that static bridge, press the big toes into the floor again. Feel the parallel of the knees. Feel the inner thighs. Feel the outer hips. Sense what's happening in the legs. Sense your footprints. And you don't have to do this, but I'm going to just begin to now push more with that left foot, and I'm raising the right heel, and I'm going to raise the right foot up to the ceiling. And then I'm crossing the ankle over onto the left thigh, and I'm keeping that left foot pressing. And then slowly coming down and moving into pigeon. So just letting everything go in that left side, bringing the leg in towards the body. Well, I hadn't thought of this before until this very moment. What I'd like to now do is place your left foot on the floor and take your left hand onto your right foot. This could either work or be a complete disaster. So you've got your right foot in your left hand and your left knee is bent and the foot's on the floor. I just want you to bring your right hand to the floor behind you. This is going to be impressive if you can manage it. We're going to roll into pigeon on our fronts. So I'll see how you feel about bringing that right knee to the floor and flipping over. Whee! Oh, we're all facing the wrong way. There you go. So you kind of did it. And so walking your left foot back. So obviously reposition that right knee, make sure you feel comfortable. Walking your left foot back. And we can keep on the hands. I do prefer a handy pigeon if that makes any sense whatsoever. But obviously if you're you get that little bit more of a release through your pelvic, through your psoas muscle if you're that little bit higher. So if you are able to straighten your arms and keep your and come up onto your hands, and just point that left toe out behind you. And just take this opportunity just to begin to really breathe into your belly and just feel that every time you're moving, your diaphragm's moving, you're getting a little massage again into that psoas and into the lower back. So bringing your weight into your right hip. We're going to do this as a really fancy pants way of getting into pigeon the other way. Take your left foot all the way around so it crosses over the right thigh. And then, I've completely got lost, no I've not, we're going to bring, what are we going to do? Oh, we usually twist that side, bring your hands across to the right. I'm thinking there's something missing here. Stand up. Pivot your feet so they're pointing to the right. So your hands are on the left, your toes are to the right. Sliding your hands all the way around to the right. I'm losing you, my audience, I'm sure. Bend your knees and sit down. Yeah, done it. So you should have your right leg crossed over your left. And then bring your right foot all the way behind you, moving into pigeon. So right foot behind. Yeah, we've got some pigeons. I can see you doing it. Brilliant. And then move onto your hands. There we go. So I told you to expand your hands, so you're getting there. Again, reposition the knees. So you've got that knee behind your wrist. Point your toes. And again, if it's comfortable. So again, it could be that it might be a little bit too loud to being up. So maybe you can take your hands further away. If you can lessen the degree of anger in that lower back. Hands closer means more lift. So again, it might be you've got those hands straight, but you've got them further away from the body. And just spread your awareness into your hands and into your lower back. Just feeling the effect of your breath. So from this place, walk your hands in and drop your weight into your left hip. Bring your feet around. Move onto your back. And take your hands out wide. Extending your legs out. Just take your focus into the quietness of your breath. Just noticing again every sensation that you feel in your hips. Feel the broadness of them, the weight of them. And just picturing, if you could, breathe in through your right foot. Just imagine that as you're breathing in, that it's like an energy, a colour of some description. It's travelling up the knee to the hip, to the right shoulder, to the right elbow, and out through the fingers of the right hand. And then picture you can breathe in through your right hand, and again this colour, whatever it is you're visualising, goes to the elbow, the shoulder, the heart, the right hip, the right knee, the right foot. And then repeating again, breathing in through your right foot. And out through your right hand. Breathing in through your right hand. And breathing out through your right foot. And just repeating. Picture you could breathe in simultaneously through the right foot and the right hand, and that breath, that energy, whatever it is you're visualising, is going to cross itself at some point. And then it's going to breathe out through the opposite side. So if you're breathing through the right foot, you're going to breathe out through the right hand. And if you're breathing in through the right hand, you're breathing out through that right foot. And then repeat, just see those two lines crossing somewhere in the body. It's like you're breathing in an energy to the centre of your body. You're just allowing it to evaporate softly out as you breathe out. And then just let your breath move to centre and just picture and sense your right side and how relaxed it feels. And then send our focus to the left foot, breathing in through the left foot and just picture this light, this colour, whatever it is, moving through the heart, the shoulder, the elbow and the hand. And then you breathe in through the hand, elbow, shoulder, heart, hip, knee, foot. Breathing foot, knee, hip, heart, shoulder, elbow, hand. Breathing hand, elbow, shoulder, heart, hip, knee, foot. Picture that movement for a moment. A really good sense of the left side of the body. And then maybe that next breath you take, you're going to feel it through the hand and the foot, and let it pass the knee, the elbow, crossing somewhere in the centre, and then pass it again through the shoulder, hip, the knee, the elbow, hand and the foot. A little crisscross of energy. And picture you could breathe into the belly and radiate it out through the toes and the hands. Through your twine. Just feeling your breath at the nose for a few more moments. And just let your breath be leisurely. And then whenever you're ready to move, find a good way, a healthy way to bring yourself to seated. There you go. Thank you, namaste. I'm going to stop the record.